In 6 weeks, I celebrate 20 years as being director of this organization. I don't know if you're clapping to congratulate me or just the fact that I've survived 20 years. But thank you very much. It has been 20 eventful and indeed wonderful years for me. I would say the 20 finest years of my life. And I want to thank all of you for that opportunity. I would especially like to begin by thanking 3 people who aren't here this evening, but I know would like to have been here if they could. They are the 3 people who I called President and Chairman before our current President and Chairman. That is Barbie Weinberg, Mike Stein, and Fred Lafer, our past presidents and chairmen. And I know we all wish them and Larry and Louise and Barbara good health, and we hope to have them here next year. This Scholar Statesman dinner was the idea of their immediate successor, Howard Berkowitz, who was brilliant at coming up with creative ideas for us to celebrate and focus on what this institute is all about, scholarship and statesmanship. And I thank you, Howard, for that leadership of yours. And I'd like to take a moment to thank our current president, Marty Gross, who has truly taken the Institute to new heights. Marty, thank you so very much. Let me add special thanks, of course, to this evening's honorary dinner co-chairs. That's Howard and Roger and Merrill Tisch, and I thank all of you. Let me take a moment just to acknowledge a few very special people in this audience. Of course, you're all very special people, but let me take a moment just to specially thank Congresswoman Nita Lowey, who is here this evening. Israel's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ron Prosor, who is here this evening. The finest interpreter of Arab politics to Americans, Professor Fuad Ajami, is here this evening. And a great leader of the American Jewish community, Malcolm Hoenlein, is here this evening. Now, we are here tonight to honor our honorees, Richard and Lorraine, and our scholar and statesman honorees in just a little bit. But we are, of course, here to support the Washington Institute and its mission, which is to improve the quality of American Middle East policy. And at the heart of this mission is one word that makes it possible, one word that sets us apart from every other institution, every other research organization, every other think tank. And that word, I like to think, is expertise. It is our brand to be the smartest, best informed, most knowledgeable experts on the Middle East. And that is all due to a wonderful group of scholars, together with Dennis, our Director of Research, Pat Clausen, our Managing Director, Mike Singh. We have built what I believe is the most exceptional team of scholarship on the Middle East, not just in Washington, but in the world. And I'd like to ask all my colleagues to please rise, take a bow. Let me just make a special mention about one of our most recent colleagues who exemplifies this nexus between scholarship and statesmanship. He wore the uniform in Vietnam, and then he went into America's diplomatic service. He rose to become America's ambassador on the front line against Iran, serving in 2 of Iran's neighbors, in Baghdad, Iraq, and in Ankara, Turkey. And in the White House, he served as Deputy National Security Advisor, our commander in the secret war against Iran. He just left the diplomatic service a couple of months ago, and he has now joined the Washington Institute. Please join me in expressing thanks and welcome to Ambassador James Jeffrey and his wonderful wife, Gudrun. Jim, where are you? There. Thank you, Jim. Now, if tonight is a small taste of the Institute, if you let me continue the metaphor, I'd like to offer you 2 ways that you can enjoy the full meal. First, I invite all trustees of the Institute to travel with experts from the Institute to the Gulf, to Bahrain, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates. In February, you will see up close the challenge of Iran and what we, the United States, and our partners in the Gulf are trying to do to prevent Iran from achieving a nuclear weapon. Seeing it through the eyes of our scholars is traveling abroad like you have never traveled before. And I urge you, if you can spare the days, take a week to go abroad with the staff of the Washington Institute. But if you can't travel abroad for a week, then come to Washington in May 8th through 10th, our annual symposium, our Sorov Symposium in Washington, will bring the finest minds, our nation's leaders, leaders from the second Obama administration, leaders from throughout the Middle East, for 2.5 intensive days, an immersion course in understanding the challenges we face and the answers we can provide. So please, register early and join us. Now tonight, in addition to everything that we're doing, we also spend making a very special announcement. This is the announcement of the Washington Institute's annual book prize. Now, why do we, a think tank focused on breaking issues and urgent crises, why do we have a book prize? We have a book prize because we're about ideas. We're about ideas that should last, ideas that should matter. And there is no way other in our civilization to encapsulate ideas that should last than to put them between the covers of a book. Now today you may read this book on your iPad or your Mini or whatever Amazon device you have, but it is still a book that is the repository of great research and great ideas. And we at the Institute celebrate the achievement of great books and great ideas. And so for the past 5 years, thanks to the generosity of Shelley and Michael Casson, we have had the privilege of recognizing great books. We've done this under the management of our Sterling Book Prize administrator, Professor Martin Kramer, our Wexler Fromer Fellow. Martin has orchestrated a blind juried, these are not blind jurors, mind you. This is a blind jury. There's a set of jurors who don't even know who the other jurors are. And they, in the most professional manner, scour through dozens of books every year to decide which ones are truly the best. So I'd like to call on member of our board of directors, Shelley Casson, to announce our book prize winners.
Congratulations to our honorees. It's an honor to stand up here alongside them. And it's my great honor tonight to present the winners of the 2012 Washington Institute Book Prize. My husband, Michael, and I are pleased to support this award because we agree that sound policy begins with excellent research and great ideas. Tonight's winning books are not only great pieces of scholarly work, they are wonderfully written and they are compelling reading. The jurors have truly done an outstanding job. Our panel of jurors is an independent group of leading foreign policy practitioners who invest countless hours reading through dozens of submissions from major publishers. From this wide pool of nominees, they select the books that they believe are the best works in English on the Middle East. This year, our distinguished judges were Michelle Dunn, Director of the Rafiq Hariri Center for the Middle East at the Atlantic Council and former State Department and National Security Council official. Robert J. Lieber, Professor of Government and International Affairs at Georgetown University, and David E. Sanger, the Chief Washington Correspondent of the New York Times. On behalf of the Washington Institute, I want to add my thanks to the jury for their hard work, and let me echo Rob in expressing my thanks to Martin Kramer for doing such an outstanding job. Thank you, Martin, in organizing and managing our book prize competition. And now, this year's winners. First, the winner of the Bronze Prize is Patriot of Persia by Christopher de Bellaigue. Patriot of Persia is an elegant work that reconstructs the complex dynamics between the American and British-devised coup against Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh in 1953, an intervention remembered to this day often bitterly by all Iranians. This book by de Bellaigue, the Tehran correspondent for The Economist, helps readers better understand how the ghosts of the past have become an obstacle to resolving today's Iranian nuclear conundrum. Next, I am pleased to announce that the winner of our Silver Prize is The Anatomy of Israel's Survival by Hirsch Goodman. Absolutely. The judges described this book as an insightful, personal, and impassioned analysis of Israel's tenacious existence in a troubled Middle East. Hirsch is very well known to many of us. Currently a senior research associate at the Institute for National Security Studies at Tel Aviv University, Hirsch is a veteran Israeli journalist. In The Anatomy of Israel's Survival, he brings experience, clarity, and wisdom to an engaging examination of why Israel survives against all odds. I would also like to point out that in the late 1980s, Hirsch was one of the first strategic fellows at the Washington Institute. And finally, this evening, it gives me great pleasure to announce the winner of our Gold Prize, The Struggle for Egypt by Stephen Cook. Okay. In The Struggle for Egypt, Stephen tells the backstory behind the gripping images from Tahrir Square and the revolution that deposed President Hosni Mubarak. It weaves expertly through Egypt's modern history, from British failures, through Nasser's pretensions, to Sadat's peacemaking. Stephen offers a sobering reminder of how economic stagnation, bad governance, and religious extremism make for an unpredictable brew, and why the struggle for Egypt's future has in fact continued, as can be seen from the crowds that have returned to the streets of Cairo just this week. Stephen is the Hasib J. Sabah Senior Fellow for Middle Eastern Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations. It gives me great pleasure to announce this prize because Stephen got his professional start at the Washington Institute as a Soraf Research Fellow. And we take particular pride in the fact that the Institute played matchmaker for Steve and his lovely wife, Lauren, who is also an outstanding expert on the Middle East and who got her start as a research assistant at the Institute. Steve and Lauren are here tonight. Since books like this are most definitely a team effort, I will ask them both to please stand up and take a bow.